Hey, thank you for swinging by and welcome to another video. Now Investables, you're here and you want to know how to buy a house step by step. Well, you are in the right place. This video is going to take you through the exact steps to take to buy a house from start to finish, and you're going to learn what to do and what not to do. Stay tuned. So I'm going to get straight to it. First things first is look at your financial situation. That's something you need to do and review before you take any steps to actually going to physically look at the house. You want to make sure that you are aware of what your budget is and what lenders are willing to lend to you before you go and check out any houses. To do this, you need to go and speak to an independent mortgage advisor or an independent mortgage broker, or go and have a chat with your bank, who will be more than happy to facilitate that process and give you an idea on what they're willing to lend to you and what your loan to value ratio is. So if you have a deposit or not, it's still good to go and have a chat with them, because then with the income you have, it will also determine what they would still lend up to. So you can do forecasts and say, look, hey, if I had 10,000, if I had 50,000, if I had 30,000, what would you guys give me based on my current income now? Lenders usually want you to have been in employment or be in some form of employment for at least 3 months if you're on a contract employment. So you have an employer who you work for, or if you're self-employed, then they usually want SA 302s, which will show your income for the last 2 to 3 years, and they will then be happy to assist you from there. Once you have that determination and you're aware of what they're willing to lend you, they will give you something called an agreement in principle or a decision in principle. And what that does, it just outlines the amount of money that you're able to spend on a house. So based on your income and your deposit, you can go and look for a house up to £200,000, and you know what you need to do. You can go look for a house up to £200,000. Now this is great because this will help you know whatever you can look in. It will keep you in your lane. So if you are looking at £400,000 houses and you know that you want a £200,000 budget, cut it, because you got to stay in your lane. So once you've done all of that and you've determined what you can afford, you've determined your affordability, you can now go and look in your chosen area for your ideal house. Now this is the fun part. This is the exciting part. You know what? I'm feeling kind of thirsty. I'm going to quickly go and grab a cup of tea. 1 minute. And here we are. So this is the fun part, because now you're going to go and talk to the agents and look for the house. I love this part of property, and this is exactly what I wait for. So before you do all of that, you got to log into Gumtree, Rightmove, Zoopla, On the Market, and these websites have all the properties on the market that you can go and check out and see what it is you're looking for. Pictures, floor plans, details, room sizes, everything. I mean, they got it all on these websites, right? So you'd go on there, check it out, look in your chosen location, look for the style that you want, 3 beds, 2 beds, whatever. Click range of viewing and go and check it out. Now I'm going to do a whole new video on exactly what to look for when you're checking out a property, so stay tuned for that, and if you subscribe then you get an alert when that's available. Now say you've checked out the house and you absolutely love it, the next thing to do is put in an offer. You would put in an offer that you are happy to pay. Always just have a little bit of a negotiation thing going on. So if the house is 100,000, maybe offer 95, 90, right? Just push the boat out a little bit. See what the seller's willing to accept. If you're happy to pay market value, go for it. I don't always advise to negotiate where you don't necessarily need to negotiate, but if you want to save yourself just a little bit of money, do a little bit of negotiation, you know what I'm saying? So negotiate the price. You probably might go back and forth for 1 or 2 sets of communications, could be more if it's a deal you're trying to get. And once that's all sorted out, then the estate agent will send you something called a sales of memorandum. And all that does is it details the seller's information, your information as the buyer, the solicitor's information, and that will then be sent to the solicitors on behalf of both the buyer and the seller. Once you've done that, I must say, this is such an exciting time. Although you should not be getting excited at this time, you just can't help it sometimes. It's so exciting. And this is the time when you're like, oh my God, I just got an offer accepted, and people usually celebrate. But I wouldn't celebrate too fast just yet, because you can still lose the deal here. Next is to initiate the solicitor. So send them an email just saying, hey, I've just got an offer accepted on number 123 Street. I'm ready to move forward. Can we please start the conveyancing process? They say, great. They might send you over some information that they want to know about the sale of the property, which they should have anyway, but you know, some of them really are over the top. And also, if you're a new client, then they'll want some information about you too. In terms of whose name the property's going in and so forth. There might be an element of some money laundering checks, so they'd want to know, you know, where the money's coming from, and you'd have to show proof of that. Once you've got the solicitor going, that you put that aside. The next thing you'd want to do is engage your mortgage broker. You'd want to start that application for the loan right away, and definitely don't delay on this, because this process can take a while. So if you haven't started the process already, then you would definitely want to start that straight away. Tell the mortgage broker to submit the application. So you'd go in with the mortgage broker, see what lender you'd actually move with, although you would have a agreement in principle. Sometimes it's good just to quickly rerun through them again. But if not, go with who you've agreed with and tell them to submit the application straight away. Let's go. You're doing a number of things here. So alongside that, once you've got the mortgage broker going, once you've initiated the solicitor, you would then engage a surveyor. There's two different types of surveyors. You've got one who, they come and check the condition of the property. They write a report and produce the report for you to look at, so you have a clear idea of exactly what condition the property is in. The other set of surveyors are those who are sent on behalf of the lenders, and what they do is they come out to check and see the real value of the property. Well, I don't know if it's the real value, but they come out and check the value of the property based on what properties have already sold in the area, and report back to the lenders what they think the value of the property is worth. Typically, it usually is less than you would say, but people's buying motivations vary. They wouldn't necessarily undervalue it just like that, but most of the time they do, because they've got to play it safe. They're lending you this money to buy a house. They don't want to overvalue this house, and suddenly when it's time to claim it back, they can't sell it. So they're going to undervalue that thing. The job of the solicitor, aka conveyancer, is to make sure that the property's legalities are all okay and you're okay with the conditions. So they'll usually have some form of conditions that you would have to sign to. Always read through your contracts. If there's something you do not understand, shoot it right back off to the solicitor and get them to explain it to you in further detail. This is very, very important, and I cannot stress that, because once that property is exchanged, you are legally obliged to complete. If you pull out, you're going to have some fees, and if the seller pulls out, then they're going to have some fees, and your fees are usually going to be whatever deposit you put down. But usually there's an amount that you have to exchange with. It's usually 10% of the purchase price. So if the house is 100,000, you would need to then put down £10,000, and that would be your exchange money. But if you pull out, you would lose that £10,000 and incur fees of the solicitor. So make sure you go through all that paperwork before you are 100% about this deal. You've read through your contracts and you're happy to proceed with the purchase. The next step would be to exchange on the contract. Now, your solicitor will manage this process, and all they do is both solicitors exchange contracts. I've always pictured it like they literally just say, here you go, and the other person's like, here you go, and it just like is emailed over to each other alongside a whole bunch of money. On that day, you are obliged to have some form of insurance, because you're legally ownership of this house. Although you're not in full owner, you don't own it fully, you still are now liable. I'm about to say you're reliable for the house. That's the dyslexic coming through, honey. You're now liable for the house. So you would have to get some insurance for the house, so to make sure that if anything happens, you are insured. Completion usually takes place, 7 days after exchange, but it does depend on solicitors. It depends on so many different things, but it usually is around, no more than about 2 weeks after you've exchanged. Once you get your completion, you can then go to the estate agency, collect your keys. You own the house just like that. And now that is the day you celebrate. Big day, and so exciting, and it's time to get the friends over and have a house party. After that, you would usually have to pay something called stamp duty, and that is just tax on buying a property. These government know how to tax you. They tax you on council tax, they tax you when it's time to buy the house, and they tax you if you inherit a house. You just can't get taxed enough. So the property industry is heavily taxed. That's irrelevant. If you're buying a house in cash, the process is exactly the same, except from you just don't have to go through all the mortgage applications through with the bank and so forth. Now, there are quite a lot of fees involved, and I'll give you an example. You have fees with the mortgage broker, so you're gonna have to pay their fees. When they find you a lender, sometimes the lender will then charge you the surveyor's fees, and they will not charge you, they would want you to pay for their surveyor's fees, and they'd also want you to pay for their solicitor's fees, okay? But some of them don't want that and they're happy not to do it. You'll also have fees from your own solicitor, so you'd have to pay conveyancing fees, and then you'd have to pay fees for the survey for you to do your building inspection. So you don't need to do a full-blown building inspection, but at least a survey just to understand the general condition of the property. In your solicitor's fees, there might be additional fees such as for your searches. So some solicitors charge 500, some of them charge 1,000. You would have to see whether or not their fees are inclusive of those charges, so be sure to double check that, but just get a printout or at least a list of what their fees are so you have an idea ahead of time to help you plan for these kind of costs. The last fee would be that stamp duty that you pay at the end, which will be due within 30 days of buying the house, if it applies to you. That, my investables, is the step-by-step process of buying and securing a house. It's simple, it's straightforward, and there's just a lot is happening concurrently. It can be a win well if it's your first time doing it, so I can understand. But if it is, watch this video, press pause and replay. Pause and replay. Pause and replay, because I've gone through all the steps that you need to buy your house and you know exactly what to do. If you like this video, then you might like a video that I've done which is all about looking at the difference between residual income and passive income, which is a great idea to know the difference between the two, because lenders do look at this as well. They look at your income, so it's good to have an idea of how your money's coming in so they know how they're gonna look at you. You can see a link to that video right here. I've also recently done a video on how to raise money to buy your first house, and you can see a link to that video here, and there'll be a link in the description box that you can check out and watch that video too. Ooh, it's so exciting. There's so much exciting times ahead. We've just left the EU. Well, we've left the EU, but we still haven't got no deal. You know what's so interesting about that is how we've left the EU, right? With no deal. And when Theresa May was trying to sort out her deals, they were onto her. But as soon as this guy just comes, so he comes and leave, no deal. We don't even find out till December what's going to happen. This is crazy. So I just hope they sort that out, and they got to be really thinking heavily about who they're dealing with, because with this coronavirus thing around, is it coronavirus? I said coronavirus. Oh, okay. With this coronavirus around, we need to be careful about who we're trading with, because these animals and who are carrying this stuff, that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother video. Let me not go off topic. I hope you like this video. There'll be plenty more to come, all around property, business, and taking things to the next level. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye.